In many countries, good schools and medical facilities are available only in cities. Some people think new teachers and doctors should be required to work in rural areas for a few years, but others think everyone should be free to choose where they work. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Model answer: the issue of whether teachers and doctors should be mandated to work in rural areas for a certain period of time is a topic of significant debate. While some argue that such requirements would help address the disparities in healthcare and education between urban and rural areas, others believe that individuals should have the freedom to choose their work location. This essay will discuss both viewpoints before offering my own perspective on the matter. On one hand, supporters of mandatory rural service argue that it would help bridge the gap between urban and rural areas in terms of access to quality education and healthcare. Many rural areas suffer from a shortage of well-qualified professionals, which can negatively impact the residents' quality of life. Requiring new teachers and doctors to work in these underserved areas would ensure that essential services are available to those who need them most. For instance, in many developing countries, people in remote villages may have limited access to basic healthcare and education, and having doctors and teachers assigned to these areas would help alleviate these problems. Furthermore, a few years of service could be seen as a commitment to societal welfare, giving back to communities that are often overlooked. On the other hand, those who oppose this idea argue that individuals should have the freedom to choose where they want to work. They believe that forcing professionals to work in rural areas may lead to resentment and lower job satisfaction, which could ultimately result in poor performance and burnout. Professionals like teachers and doctors are more likely to be effective and dedicated to their work when they have the autonomy to choose a location where they feel comfortable and motivated. Moreover, requiring individuals to work in rural areas could discourage talented professionals from entering the field in the first place, as they may view such a requirement as a barrier to their career choices. In my opinion, while I understand the concerns of those who advocate for personal freedom in choosing a workplace, I believe the benefits of requiring professionals to serve in rural areas outweigh the drawbacks. This is especially true in countries where rural areas are severely lacking in resources and access to services. However, instead of making this service mandatory for all, a compromise could be reached by offering incentives, such as financial rewards, career development opportunities, or assistance with housing and living costs. This way, the government can attract qualified professionals to rural areas without forcing them into a situation that might lead to dissatisfaction. In conclusion, both sides of the argument present valid points, but I believe that requiring new teachers and doctors to work in rural areas, with proper incentives, would help address the imbalances in education and healthcare services. It is essential to find a solution that balances both professional freedom and the need for greater equity in rural communities.